Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is July the 21st, 2020. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable, offended by selling, in motion. All right, we have a very special guest who is in motion indeed and has been in the news lately. His name is Mike Peterson, and he is the guy coordinating the Bitcoin Beach down in El Salvador. Now, I talked about that on yesterday's show, and I was so pumped about it that I'm like, I got to get this guy on the air right away, and we got to hear about what's really going on in El Salvador with this Bitcoin Beach. It's got a great name, Bitcoin Beach. You can't beat that. You got the marketing down there, dude. So, how you doing?
Doing great.
All right, great. I'm glad we were able to get this on. We had some technical difficulties beforehand, but bam, we had conviction. We persevered. So, tell us about how did this all start? And how long have you been in Bitcoin? First of all,
I've been following Bitcoin since probably 2012. Couple times in the early stages I tried to purchase some, but I'm not a real tech guy, and so at that point it was still pretty difficult to purchase or figure out even how to make the transaction. So I didn't actually purchase any Bitcoin until I think it was 2016 when it became a little bit more user friendly for people like me. But I've been really fascinated by the financial side of it, even more than the tech from the beginning. I come from a finance background. I was an economics major in school, and so just the whole money aspect of it has been something that I've been really focused on. And initially we've lived in El Salvador for about 6-7 years and working on some different economic development programs there with different churches and nonprofits. And so I was introduced to Bitcoin by another nonprofit. They had somebody donate a Bitcoin to them, and they were trying to figure out how to use it. And I kind of helped them figure out how to be able to utilize it. And through that, they connected me to their donor, and that was kind of the genesis of our project.
okay. So there was a donor that had some Bitcoin, and he wanted to give it away.
Yeah, he had, from the story goes that, he was an early Bitcoin investor, and I think bought when it was like a nickel, and, was sitting on a large cache of this that he wants to use for good in the world. He's not a, Lamborghini type guy. He wants to be able to use his Bitcoin proceeds to actually, invoke change. But he also believes that Bitcoin itself will be part of that change, and especially for the unbanked. And so he wanted to contribute to people that were willing to actually utilize Bitcoin in real ways, that they weren't going to be just converting to fiat. And so I kind of understood the guidelines of what he was looking for, and I put together this just really wacky proposal to basically from scratch start a Bitcoin economy in El Salvador, in some of the communities that we're working in.
Oh wow! Now and he's anonymous. This guy.
Yes.
And did he fund any other programs that you know of, or just this one?
I know he's contributed to several other nonprofits. It's the organization is called the Bit by Bit Fund, and so while he's anonymous, the fund itself is out there, and but that's kind of his stipulation is always that people use the Bitcoin itself, that they're not just converting to fiat, which is what most nonprofits want to do. They don't have a Bitcoin background, and it seems too complicated to them, and so that's what they usually want to do. And so we put together a proposal that would use Bitcoin in real ways.
Okay, so is Bit by Bit Fund is bitbybitfund.org? Is that his? Is that the
I believe
site?
so. Yeah.
I had not heard of that before, so I will link to that But if anyone's watching this live, people are watching this live. And if you guys have questions, I have answers. People, you can type in BitcoinMeister and ask the guest questions or ask me questions, whatever, or do a super chat. But here we go. Yeah, bitbybitfund.org. Okay, it's been created with two goals in mind: to provide funding for smaller, less known charities and to promote the general use of Bitcoin as an honest alternative to today's fiat currency. So you're number two there. That's what they want. You guys you want to promote the general use of Bitcoin as an honest alternative to today's fiat currencies. Is that a good summation there?
Yeah, exactly. But also, we want to be able to use the Bitcoin to really drive economic development and empower and improve the lives of some of the most vulnerable in the world.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. You got a beach town down there, tourist, and what's the name of the beach town? El Zonte, right?
El Zonte, yes.
Okay, in El Salvador, El Zonte, and you have distributed some of the Bitcoin to people directly. You've given it away, or have they earned it, and has it started circulating? What was the distribution process like?
Pretty much all the above. So initially, we started working with the youth. We found that they were the receptive. It was with some of the adults, when you start talking to them about technology, their eyes would glaze over. And so we started with the youth, and we really focused on keeping the youth out of the gangs. Gangs is a big issue in El Salvador. And so we wanted to develop some work projects and also some projects to encourage the youth to stay in school. So we employ a lot of the different youth in the community to pick up trash, to clean the river, to help some of the elderly or some of the vulnerable families to do some work projects on their properties. So that was kind of how it started. We started with this contingent of about 40 young people that we were paying in order to, do all these different tasks. And then simultaneously with this, in order for it to be valuable to them, in order for it to be money to them, they had to have a place where they could spend it. And so we worked with some of the local stores and businesses, teaching them how to receive Bitcoin, and explaining to them that there would be this new liquidity within the community. There would be new customers for them if they started accepting it. And so we had this kind of hand-in-hand, chicken and the egg problem we were trying to solve, trying to get the Bitcoin out there, but you also need people that accept it. But people don't want to accept it unless there's enough of a market of people trying to use it. And so we kind of walked hand in hand from the beginning with them. And we also started doing stipends for kids to stay in high school. Most kids don't finish high school in El Salvador. That's for their families, just the expense of transportation and meals at school is too much. And so they drop out and just start working. So we wanted to encourage them to stay in school. So we started doing Bitcoin stipends to kids that stayed in school, and then additional stipends if they got good marks. And then also we wanted to encourage them to go on to university. So we do the same thing. We provided Bitcoin scholarships for those that went to university. And that program was going along well. We had several stores that were accepting it. They could go get pupusas, which is kind of the local fast food in El Salvador. There was a couple pupusa places where they were accepting it. They could pay their water bills in Bitcoin, and so they could help out with the family in that way. And then when COVID hit, we kind of switched gears. The lockdown in El Salvador was super extreme. Nobody was allowed to go to work. It was military in the street, keeping people from even leaving town. And so nobody could work, and most people only have the food they need for the next couple of days. In that type of community, people kind of live hand to mouth, and so you had almost immediately there being food security issues. And so we kind of switched gears and started doing universal cash transfers using Bitcoin. And during March, we got pretty much all the families in the community on board, and then we rolled it out in another community called Puntamongo. And so we had about 600 families that were receiving about $35, equivalent in Bitcoin every month that they could use to buy groceries or food or just pay their basic needs with.
Okay. Well, it's good that people were accepting Bitcoin. They value it. That's good. That's step one. That the normies, the non-youth, will accept it for food. It's unfortunate that the country is shut down. There's a question about that actually from the audience here. Let me get that. Is El Salvador totally it's not open to visitors right now, is it?
It's not. No, the land borders and the airports are both closed.
Mm, unbelievable. So, at any point during the process of getting the people to use Bitcoin, uh, did any tourist actually use Bitcoin? Was any new Bitcoin brought into the ecosystem that was not from the original source?
Yeah, so we've had, I wouldn't say it's been a lot because this only was launched in September, so we're still in the beginning stages. Peter McCormick, who has the What Bitcoin Did podcast, was probably the first tourist to use it. He bought us dinner there from the pupuseria. And there have been some other tourists that have paid with Bitcoin. That is our long-term goal, to really promote that. But like I said, we're still in the early stages, and once we were starting to get to that point, that's when the country went into lockdown. So we haven't had a huge amount of experience with that yet, but that, and also getting people to send remittances. El Salvador's economy is driven by people sending money from the U.S., their family members, and so I think it's like 22% of the GDP. So that's another focus of ours, is getting people to send money in Bitcoin rather than Western Union.
That is awesome that you're already on the remittance track here, because even though maybe some relatives can't get back into can't get back into El Salvador, excuse me, right now, they can send their relatives in. So I mean, right now you guys are doing universal basic income in Bitcoin for some
Exactly.
people. Yeah, you are.
Exactly.
But they could, if they have relatives abroad, not just in the United States, wherever, they could get funds through Bitcoin now because they understand it, which is awesome. Now there's another question here, and I'm going to tie it in. Dr. H. Quinzel says, what do you think the solution of mass adoption will be in regards to getting the most conservative to use Bitcoin and blockchain technology today? We need them to use it without knowing. Well, one thing in a country in a situation like this is remittances. Okay, there's something right there. It forces people to use Bitcoin, right? That will help some with mass adoption. Now, I have different takes on mass adoption, Dr. H. Quinzel. So I just wanted to tie that in there. I don't know what will get the most conservative people to use crypto, and I don't think we need to get the most conservative crypto people to use crypto. I mean, it's not for everyone. It is not going to be for everyone. But for the guest here, since you do like people spending their Bitcoin, what do you see something that'll help trigger mass adoption to get more people to quote unquote use it?
I really do think that apps like their recently released Strike app that ties into people's bank accounts, where we're looking to use that with people in El Salvador to have their relatives in the U.S. just be able to link their bank account. They don't need to know anything about Bitcoin, but they can automatically send Lightning to be received on the other end. Now, obviously, there's drawbacks of people when they want to return it back into fiat, but we see it as a good on-ramp for people to get into Bitcoin. And what we found is once people start transacting in it, it's natural for them to become more curious, for them want to understand it at a deeper level, and to actually start using it and not want to convert. Originally, everybody asks, okay, how do I convert to real money? That's what they'll say. But after a while of them using it, they realize that Bitcoin is real money, and they would rather be holding it in Bitcoin rather than the dollar that's going to be going down over time.
Okay, this is a great segue here. For everyone out there, they don't have a national currency down there. They use the dollar. And that's a pretty good darn fiat currency to use, as we all know. But have people, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, are people starting to straight up say, I am saving this Bitcoin now? I am, or is anyone using it as a savings account? Are they totally valuing their wealth in Bitcoin? Just totally getting out of the dollar system. They've earned in Bitcoin now, and now they're like, okay, I'm saving in this so I can buy a better house in a few years or buy a better car. Is this, are people catching on to the savings aspect of it?
They are, and that naturally happens as they have a Bitcoin balance in their account and they see the fluctuations. But in general, tending to move up over time, and they can look at historically that that's been the same thing. We try to balance that. We try to encourage people not to throw all their savings into Bitcoin. We don't want them selling their ancestral, property they got from their parents and investing it in Bitcoin because they have dollar signs in their mind and their head. We're not trying to create speculators, and so we'll say, hey, put 5-10% of your wealth and kind of over time, and as you get to see how it moves, as you get to understand it better, and you want to move more, great. But we don't want to create speculators because there will be times when Bitcoin drops, and if they don't have kind of a long-term view, if they're just speculating, they'll probably sell at the bottom. And so we want to make sure we're developing people with kind of a long game here, that they're not just in it for the short run.
Awesome. Now, I just want to say we got a CS2 sent $5. He said Bitcoin is making waves at Bitcoin Beach. Oh, it is. Pound that like button, everyone. Now, soon enough, all this lockdown madness will end, and so the tourists will return. And for their convenience, there is a Bitcoin ATM there. Am I correct?
Yes. Athena Bitcoin has put a ATM in the community, and it's ironic because we don't even have a cash ATM in our community. It's, the Bitcoin ATM is the only game in town.
No, that actually is awesome, and it makes sense. People, you could compare that to how in Africa, in some towns, they never had the regular phone line. They just jumped to cell phones. It's the same.
Exactly.
Why stick with the old school fiat? Why not get the best of the best? There's no need to take that step now. Just jump to the current or to the future right now with the Bitcoin ATM. So what is the overall in Central America? Are you familiar with the crypto ecosystem down there at all? Is besides your town, the beach town, is there use Bitcoin crypto groups in El Salvador?
There is, some very loose groups. I wouldn't say there's a deep history of Bitcoin usage in Central America, but you definitely see it starting to grow. And as we've started the project, we've had a lot of people just kind of come out of the woodwork. A lot of kind of professionals, say doctors or business owners that have contacted us, and they want to just start buying $100 a week and invest and save in it over time, and they haven't had access before, and so they're excited that now there's access within El Salvador, and so there's actually a lot more people interested in it than we had initially thought, even outside of the people we're working directly with.
All right, now you say you didn't want to encourage speculation or anything, no gambling, but have any of the youth, since they are technically skilled, more so than the older people, have they changed any of their Bitcoin into altcoins? Have you been asked about altcoins or Bitcoin trading by any of the people down there?
Not that I know of. I'm sure it's probably happened, but like I said, that's not really our focus. Our focus is kind of more focused on getting people to spend and save in it, and so and we are definitely a Bitcoin centric project and Bitcoin maximalists. So that's kind of our focus.
All right, people like that. People like that on this channel. Pound that like button, people. We got Bitcoin maximalist in a beach town in freaking El Salvador, baby. This is, and I mean, you picked the best name possible, Bitcoin Beach. I mean, so how's it going to become the Bitcoin beach of the world? When things get back to normal, when the tourists start coming back, what are your plans? What are some next steps into the future here?
So kind of as I mentioned before, we really want to focus on the remittances, but also on the tourism. For tourists from around the world to be able to come in and not have to worry about exchanging money, because they can just use their phone to buy local stuff. We see that as a long-term injection. And then we also have plans right now. We want to build a Bitcoin housing community. So we have a property that we're looking to divide into lots. They all have nice beach views. And we want kind of longer term the properties to be sold in Bitcoin, homeowners association fees to be paid in Bitcoin, utilities to be paid in Bitcoin. We want it to be a place where Bitcoiners can go and transact everything in their life in Bitcoin. And also have the town there where they can go down and pay for their pizza in Bitcoin. They can pay their water bill in Bitcoin, all these different things. And so that's kind of the dream. That's the next step right now. And then we want to bring developers that are in the Bitcoin and Lightning world into this region. And so we're working on building a shared workspace that we will make available for Bitcoin or Lightning projects. And we're hoping that teams will send, that companies will send their developer teams to live in El Salvador. The cost of living is cheap. There's great surfing. The weather's great. The food's great. The people are amazing. So they could send people there to have a great work environment. It'll be cheaper for them to live for companies that are, kind of bootstrapping their projects and don't have a lot of money for salaries. But also they have this sandbox that they can work with, releasing their projects into the community and see real world people using them and see what problems they have and what benefits. And so that's kind of the view, is the hope to bring that, and for that to provide longer term jobs and opportunities in the tech sector for Salvadorans.
This is great. This is like pure Bitcoin tourism. I mean, you're reaching out to the Bitcoin community. It's not just going to be some tourists are going to happen to be down there. They're going to learn about Bitcoin. You're reaching out, saying Bitcoin people come down here. Bitcoin people live here. Bitcoin people visit. Bitcoin people work here. So I think that is a great approach. No need to appeal to the masses. Get the Bitcoiners down there. So I think that's the direction you're going in, at least.
Yeah, no, we'd like to see it become like a destination for Bitcoiners, where they know they can go and spend Bitcoin in practical, everyday things where you can't in most places, and also connect with other Bitcoiners. And so that's kind of the longer term goal.
So yeah, I admire you guys. You are there is no Bitcoin Beach yet. You're stepping up. You're claiming the name. You're in motion. You've got the conviction. I like it a lot. Bitcoin Beach. Now, someone asked here, CS2, and again, CS2, thank you for contributing to the show. He says, is there a place to donate to Bitcoin Beach?
Yeah, there is. You can, if you send me a message, a DM on Twitter, I can send you an invoice. We also, I don't really want to promote it because it's just a placeholder page, but we do have BitcoinBeach.com. It's very much a placeholder page, so don't hold that against us. We just threw something up there, but there's also a donate on there. For people who do make the donations through there, it goes through a company called Given in the US that can do tax receipts and that sort of thing. So if people want to donate directly in Bitcoin and not have it, don't need a tax receipt, then I can send them a Lightning or an on-chain invoice for that. Yeah.
Well, I'll recommend again what Mike just said. He's linked to below. It's twitter.com/BitcoinBeach. I DM'd him there. He immediately responded. So he's the dude behind Bitcoin Beach at Twitter. It is linked to below. Now, you mentioned Lightning. So you've got the people using the Lightning network down there too.
Yeah, originally we were doing everything on chain, and at the time we released the project, the fees were pretty low. So people were paying anywhere from 30 cents to 50 cents for transactions, and so for a $10 transaction, it was a little high, but still in the kind of realm of what credit card fees are. But as fees started to go up and people wanted to make smaller purchases, we knew we had to make a change, and so we moved pretty much everything over to Lightning. So I would say probably 90% of the transactions in the project now are happening on the Lightning network.
I mean, this is a real world use case for all the Lightning Network deniers, or all the people that say Bitcoin is too slow, Bitcoin is too expensive. You have stuck with Bitcoin all this time. Do you want to say anything to the Lightning Network haters out there, or to the Bitcoin haters that say Bitcoin will never be used for real world transactions?
I think one of the greatest things in our project is the place where we have the Bitcoin ATM is a coffee shop, and people are buying coffees with Bitcoin. And that's the thing everybody's always said, nobody's going to use Bitcoin to buy coffee. And so in El Salvador, we have, this small little village in the middle of nowhere without even a regular ATM. People can buy coffee with Bitcoin. And if people buy even 25 cents of tortillas from the local tortilla lady with Bitcoin. The local fruit truck that drives around selling fruit sells in Bitcoin. So it's happening. It's not in the future. It's now.
All right, we got people in the chat that want to visit the Bitcoin beach. I want to visit the Bitcoin beach. When do you expect the restrictions to go away, or is it just a never-ending thing?
I hope by September. It was supposed to be in the beginning of August, and just yesterday they pushed it 2 weeks. So, in this world, it seems impossible to make any predictions. But we plan on going back in September. So I'm very hopeful it's open by then.
You're getting pretty close to the equator down. Well, closer than we are in the United States. Is it good weather all the time? Tourists come when things are normal. Do they come all 12 months?
Yeah. So they basically there have a rainy season and a dry season. The weather itself is just pretty warm through the whole year. So the dry season is November through March, April, and then the wet season is kind of April, May through October. But the weather's still nice even in the wet season. You just get some good torrential downpours, but then you can go to the beach and it's like 85 to 95 degrees where we're at year round.
Now, I do have a question. How big is your management team of this? Or are you just the main manager? Because it would be great if maybe someone out there wants to volunteer and help you with the web page to get that up. I mean, because this could be a really big thing, but it's going to take some volunteers or other workers too to get it out there. This should be a bigger story. It really should be a bigger story.
Yeah, we're definitely working on that, and we've definitely had some people reach out to us. We're trying to figure out how to put people in different places. The organization Blockchain for Humanity, they actually are building a web page for us right now, and hopefully it'll be up in the next couple of weeks. We're just kind of finishing a few things, but yeah, we definitely have people excited about this and have kind of come alongside and are offering their services. And I'm just trying to figure out how to coordinate and put that all together. We have a local team in El Salvador that handles all the distributions and the training and all of that stuff. And so I lean on them for a lot of things. But longer term, we hope to have the ability to have people come and stay for a few months, people that want to volunteer, to come down and to teach classes and to lead seminars and that sort of thing. And we've just recently built a community center that we're going to use to do both Bitcoin trainings, but it'll also be a place where the local kids can come to do their homework. It has high-speed internet, which most people don't have there. And so, yeah, kind of longer term, we're really focused on how we can incorporate people.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything here today. Is there, again, he's linked to below at Twitter, best way to contact, Bitcoin Beach. Any conclusionary thoughts, anything else you want to tell the people?
I would just encourage people to get out there and be using your Bitcoin as much as you can. Support businesses that are accepting it. You meet lots of people that are very theoretical in the Bitcoin world, but they rarely actually transact in it. So I would just encourage you to, yes, we're hodlers. Yes, we believe in saving Bitcoin, but we also want to see it as a spending vehicle that's going to revolutionize and change the lives of the unbanked. And that's not going to happen unless people are willing to facilitate those transactions. So get out there and use Lightning. Get out there and donate in Bitcoin or in Lightning, and be a part of what's going forward.
I did have one final question I just thought of. What is the population of El Zante? How many people live down there?
So in El Zante, there's about 3,000 people. And then we also have another community that we've launched in called Punta Mongo that has about 800 people. And they're both beautiful beach towns with great surfing. So that I'm a surfer, so that's kind of the original attraction to that area. But yeah.
We actually have there's a guy named Surfer Jim who's a big Bitcoiner. I hope he's watching this now. Maybe he'll go. He's about to travel the world too one of these days. I know, so maybe he'll come down there and bring the Bitcoin vibe, the Bitcoin surfing vibe. There's a Bitcoin surfer clique out there. So 3,800 people. You really could get all 3,800 people to have Bitcoin, or I mean, close to
and
it.
they actually are at this point, or at least somebody in their family. So we have over 600 families that have Bitcoin wallets and that are transacting in Bitcoin. So that pretty much represents, I would say, 90 to 95% of those communities are living in a home where Bitcoin is being used in some fashion.
Wow, it's quite an accomplishment already. So if people could learn from this to scale it up to larger communities, I mean, this could be huge. This really could be huge. So I hope people contact you because of this, and keep on doing what you're doing down there, Mike. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be on the show today. Again, everybody, check it out. He's linked to below. All right, guys, you know what? You get news here that you don't get anywhere else. You get the insider information. You just really heard what was going there. That was no Cointelegraph article. That was the real hardcore thing. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Check out all the links below. Pound that like button. Bang that bell button. People are saying they're following you already. Thank you again. And I will, again, I'll see you all tomorrow. You get a new show here